Actually, what I'm going to talk about this morning is some principles behind success and happiness. And I want to start with a fable of success and happiness. It goes like this. In old world Europe, a long time ago, there's an ancient park. And in the park are two statues. The statues are facing each other, distance of about 20 or 30 feet. And on this side of the park is a statue of a man, and he's heroic. The name of the statue is Success. In Success, the man is reaching forward this way, and he has longing and grit and determination in his whole posture. And on this side of the park, facing the man, is a woman. And her name is Happiness. And Happiness, too, is longing towards success, right? She's open, she's receptive. And here you have this ancient park, and these two statues are stuck like this for eons, right? Reaching towards each other, success reaching towards happiness, and happiness reaching towards success, and the two never shall meet. Well, it turns out there's a fairy who watches over all good statues. And one day she came down, she said, you know, I am so enthralled with you two, and you've been such great, wonderful statues over the years. I'm going to grant a wish. I'm going to make you, turn you into a human for 30 minutes. And so she waves her magic wand, and lo and behold, suddenly you have two naked people in the park who were suddenly instantly aware of their humanity. And the man standing there, and he's looking at the woman, and he feels a little self-conscious. And the woman standing here, and she's aware of her nakedness, and she feels a little self-conscious, but she's also all about happiness, and so she kind of throws her shoulders back, and she walks off into the bushes. But before she enters the bushes, she kind of looks back leeringly towards the man, and of course he's built for success, and so he follows the woman. And they enter the bushes. And the fairy's watching this, and at first nothing happens. Then the bushes start to shake a little bit, and she hears some laughter. A few minutes later, the bushes are really starting to shake, and she's hearing rapturous groans and laughter and all these things. And apparently, the couple is having a fantastic time in the bushes. And a few minutes later, with 15 minutes left on the clock, they come out and they have their arms on each other, and they're glistening with sweat, and there's leaves in their hair, and they seem exhausted. And the fairy says, wow, it seems like you two have had a magical time after all these eons, finally co-joining together. Said, but you still have 15 minutes left, right? Are you sure that you're done? And the woman named Happiness looks at the man named Success, and she says, okay, one more round, but this time you hold the pigeon down and I'll shit on its head. So I share that story for two reasons. One is that we all want more success and happiness, right? It's up to you how you define it. Two, I want to point out how rare it is for success and happiness to actually co-join together at the same time. Now, you may relate to what I was going through in my life about a decade ago. Like you, was a highly driven entrepreneur. And one of my goals was to have a successful scaling business. And I was lucky, right? I started and was leading one of the fastest growing companies in the country back then. It's a company that's still growing strong 10 years later. That wasn't the only way I defined success. I also wanted to be a husband, and so I was married, and I wanted to be a father, and I had a new daughter, right? And I wanted all the accoutrements of success, the house and the cars and the status and the travel and all that stuff, right? What I noticed is that the more success that I was attaining, the less happiness I was actually feeling. I was absolutely outstanding at achieving my goals and creating more complexity in my life. You with me? I was very, very, very poor at finding that elegant simplicity in the middle of all that. And so I went on I knew that I was either pursuing the wrong things or I was going about them in the wrong way. Just having success wasn't enough. Just having happiness wasn't enough. How do you have both at the same time? What I discovered in that quest for knowledge is something fascinating. Did you know that there's only one person, if statistics are right, in this room who's authentically happy and highly successful at the same time? Just one person, if the statistics are correct. How do I know that? Well, we can take any population set and rank their skills and capabilities in a normal distribution curve. It looks like, that's a curve that looks like this, right? And we know that at the far right of that curve, of any group of people, about 2 to 3% are going to be highly successful. They're just more capable and better than the rest at what they do. So take 100 professional baseball players, they're all super talented, but there's only going to be 2 to 3 Mike Trouts and Derek Jeters, right? Same thing's true for this room. We have about 300 or so entrepreneurs. That means about 10 of you are just simply better entrepreneurs than the rest, more successful than the rest. Interesting study by a man named Dr. Vance Caesar of that 2 to 3% across all walks of life, business, politics, sports, celebrities, you name it, like the rich, the famous, the celebrated. He went looking for authentic levels of happiness. And shockingly, only about 10% of that 2 to 3% self-identify as authentically happy. Now, I'm not talking about stage time happy. I'm talking about happiness in the dead of night in front of the mirror. So 0.2 to 0.3% of any population set is highly successful and authentically happy at the same time. That's how I come up with about one of you here in this room is authentically happy and highly successful at the same time. Fascinating. So I have a vision that we change that ratio. And in order to change that ratio, so most of us are actually highly successful in our chosen endeavors and authentically happy at the same time. We need to understand what's going on, right? What's different? What's unique about that 0.2 to 0.3%, which I'll call the happy high achievers? Well, when you look at the data of what the happy high achievers do differently, at first it doesn't seem like they're doing anything different at all. In fact, it just seems like they read a self-help book or went to an EO workshop and they went back and they applied everything that they learned. Okay, so help me out. Raise your hand if you do these things. Happy high achievers have a written vision and goals. Okay, happy high achievers have nurturing, loving, supportive relationships. Happy high achievers have outstanding discipline. Okay, happy high achievers have a mindset that allows them to find the positive and to be resilient in the face of change. Excellent. And happy high achievers take time out periodically to rest, renew, and reflect. In a way, you're all doing that right now, right? And doesn't that just sound like something you've heard at every workshop you've ever been to? They just went back and they did it, right? They have outstanding discipline. There's one other thing. They have a high driving sense of purpose and passion, and we've certainly all heard that before. So they do all those things, but there's something in the data that they do differently than everybody else. And you won't read it in a self-help book, and you won't hear it in any other workshop except for this one. What happy high achievers do differently than all the rest is they're always, always getting more than they're giving. They're getting more than they're giving. Now, most of you are looking at me very quizzically like you should. Like, what? That's not right. Right? We heard from this morning all these speakers talking about you got to give more. Right? You got to have a mission-driven life and give more, give all, give more, right? My experience tells me that's not accurate. The data says it's not accurate. And I imagine if you look at your life in the way I'm going to show you, that you'll find that it's not accurate either, that you always want to be getting more than you're giving. So what's going on? What's going on? Well, what happy high achievers recognize is there's some fundamental physics at work. Each of us has a finite amount of time and energy that we're working with. And they recognize that in all their interactions and relationships and activities, because they're dealing with a finite amount of time and energy at any given point in time, they have to get more back than they put into it. Their activities, their relationships, their opportunities, they judge them on their ability to generate positive ROI back. Now, what's key here is that they feel like they're getting more than they're giving. You with me? You might say, well, that's just perception. I'll say to you, and of course it's just perception. What isn't perception? They always feel like they're getting more than they're giving. Now, as you use this lens to look at the world, you'll start to see it everywhere you look. So, for example, imagine an employee who absolutely loves their job. They're outstanding at it. They come in early, they leave late, they get a lot done, and there's low friction and low drama. If that's your employee, aren't you getting more than you're giving? Right? Isn't that relationship adding more cumulatively to you than it's costing? If you add up all the time, energy, effort to manage that person, I bet you think, if I had 100 more of this person, I could finally take my business to the next level. Relationships are a two-way street. So that employee, if they authentically love their job and they have autonomy and creativity, they're feeling like, I can't believe they pay me for this. I do it for free. Right? They're getting more too. Marriage, a successful marriage is the same way. Right? Marriage isn't about working on it. A successful marriage occurs when both parties are getting more than they're giving. Right? They're able to naturally meet their needs in such a way where both parties feel lit up, and it just works. They're getting more than they're giving. Corollary, have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like you're always giving but not getting anything back in return? It leads to resentment, right? It leads to discouragement. It's a net loss. You're not getting any ROI. So you ultimately look to change that relationship. So how do you apply this concept in your work and in your life? Well, here's what I recommend. Take a sheet of paper or take your tablet and draw a line down the middle of the page. Same exercise, another brilliant speaker in the group. Okay? And on the left side, I want you to write the word drains with a plus, with a minus. So drains and a minus sign. And on the right side, I want you to write the word gains with a plus sign. I want you to pay attention to what seems to be costing you more than you're getting back in return. And write that down. And I want you to pay attention to what seems to be you're getting more from than you're putting into it. And write that down. I'm going to teach you how to do that in just a second here. But the main thing I can communicate is as you do this exercise, I really want you to focus on the drain side. That's because if your life was a vessel and you've got leaks in that vessel, a leaky vessel gets more leaky. So you've got to stop the leaks. And you start from the inside out, right? You start with your physical health. Okay? If you're in bad health or you know a friend who's in bad health, imagine a friend in the hospital. They have a finite amount of energy. Most of that energy has to go to heal themselves. They have very little energy left over to be out pursuing success and happiness. Same thing's true for all of us, right? That's why they say if you lost your health, you've lost everything. So pay attention to your health. Is it costing you more? Is it a drain? Is it leaking? Or is it gaining? Right? If you have a great fitness regime, it may have taken you some investment in time and effort to get there, but once you get there, it pays dividends all the time, right? You get more out of it than you put into it. Next, you go to your mindset, right? If you have a mindset that costs you a lot of energy, that means you're probably carrying around emotions and beliefs like selfishness, or greed, or shame, or regret, or guilt, or anger. You notice how those things cost a tremendous amount of energy to maintain? The corollary, if you have a mindset, a belief based on appreciation, love, care, right? Faith, belief in something, once you cultivate that mindset, man, that pays dividends all day long, right? That's what allows you to love more, to give more, right? You're doing it from activities and relationships that seem to give you more back than you put into them. And as you go from your health and your mindset, you go out to your primary love relationship, right? Think about that relationship. Is it costing you more or are you getting more? Ever tried to start a new business while moving through a toxic divorce? I've tried that one. Okay? What's going on there? Well, you have a finite amount of energy between you and your spouse. If you're going through a toxic divorce, most of your available energy is it's lost, it's leaking out. Right? You have to move through that relationship, heal it, then you have that energy back that you can apply towards success and happiness. And you scan and you look at your management team. Who on your management team seems to cost you more than give you more? Okay? And you might be thinking, well, I can't afford to do anything with that person that's costing me a lot. They're a hassle, but I can't afford it. Right? They have rare skills. I just want you to recognize that your business has a finite amount of energy too. And that energy leak costs the business and it steals from top-line performance. When do you know it is time to fire a client? Right? When that client's costing you more than you're getting. right? There's no more positive ROI there. It's time for the client to go. As you're thinking about your relationships, I want to be clear that you can never change another person, of course, right? The only thing you can change is your to be in the relationship or not, or your perspective about it. And one thing I found always works to release an energy drain in a relationship with someone who's costing you energy is to quit expecting them to be different than they are. They are who they are. If you can make that shift to just accept them as they are, you'll free up that energy drain at least to get more towards neutral. Will allow you to be in that relationship in a better way and allow them to be in the relationship in a better way. And then you want to look at your activities, right? What are the activities that you engage in that you do, but they seem to deplete your energy? For example, maybe you're awesome at strategy and meeting with customers, but you're stuck back at the office doing systems and processes and administrative stuff. Okay? Think about how can you shift out of that administrative stuff and spend more time doing the activities that add to your energy, add to your joy. What happy high achievers recognize is that they're always getting more than they're giving. So if you make your list of those things that drain your energy and those things that add to your energy over the next month, and you pick one thing on the left side, one thing that costs you energy each month, and make a commitment to shift that, and you did that once each month, you would have eliminated 12 significant energy drains from your life within 1 year. And if you do that, I guarantee you'll have radically transformed your life. Appreciate being here. Thank you.